I'm Marc Silber. I'm an author, educator, filmmaker in Carmel, California. So good to have you guys with us. If you don't mind, when you're thinking about it, go ahead and subscribe and enable the bell so you don't miss any of our shows, because we've got lots of great stuff coming up here. Our show is brought to you by our friends at Bay Photo Lab, and you guys should get stuff printed. I'm going to show you what I just got printed here in a second. 25% off on fine art canvas wraps. That's pretty cool. You can still get 15% off on metal prints, and 15% off on acrylic prints, and 25% off on your first order. I'm putting some of my photographs for sale downtown Carmel. These are very small versions of what will be larger framed prints, but you can order these from Bay Photo with the mat and already encased in cellophane, which makes it really handy. And on the back, what's going to happen there, this is all about sharing, is there will be my artist statement in here, and also where they can order more prints. That's all part of getting your work out to the world. Here's some other ones. You know, if you've seen my books, you might recognize some of these. And you know, these are handy for selling because they're kind of a grab and go item that you can put in a bin and people can go through them, while I also have my larger prints on the wall, prints and framed. So Bay Photo, you can't really see, but these are excellent quality reproductions. This is what I love about Bay Photo. You know, the shininess kind of, but there's that one from the Grand Tetons. Anyway, use Bay Photo Lab. One of the great things about them is that you can have them do the whole thing. You can have them mat them. I use double mats, framed, takes care of the whole thing. Believe me, you do not want to get into the framing business. And unless I want custom frames, and I'll make the print and take them to a custom framer, I do that as well. But it takes such the hassle out of your whole workflow. So go to Bay Photo, send something over, get it matted, get it framed, and you'll be really super happy with the results. Okay, guys, well, let's dive into I've been doing this series of getting unconfused about photography, but you might have felt confused about any aspect of photography. And especially, I think what's really confusing can be, how do you share it? How do you get it out to the world? Should you even do it? So remember, we've got the secret key decoder ring, the secret decoder ring. Hey, kids, it all makes sense now. There's Susie. And here's why it makes sense, because we've decoded photography and put it into a form that you can really understand how it all fits together. So you have visualization at the center. You've got knowing your equipment, capturing, which is composition and lighting, processing with your software, and then finally sharing and getting your work out to the world. And that's all covered in my book, Advancing Your Photography. And there it is. And that's what I talked to you guys about. I mean, since I worked that out, probably, it's maybe 8 or 9 years ago, I haven't seen any reason to ever shift off of it. And it really works for me to keep myself oriented to where I am in the process. Now, where we're going to start is, we're not even going to start taking a look at your prints or how you share them. We're going to start with you. This is super important, and I'm going to spend some time talking to you about it here. So before you even put your prints on the wall, or you put them in a book, or you put them in a film, or whatever you're going to do with them, it's really important to work out your vision of yourself as a photographer. I mean, we could go really deep and philosophical on this, and work out your vision of yourself as a person. I am actually going through a new branding phase for myself. And that is, for years, I basically have used Advancing Your Photography as my brand and my books and my interviews and that sort of thing. And I really come to realize that I need to elevate my own brand, which is Marc Silber, separate from people I interview, because obviously I've acquired a lot of knowledge myself. So I'm kind of working that out. And one of the reasons I'm putting those videos up on Instagram is so that you can hear from me directly. So if you haven't already done so, please follow me on Instagram. But going back to you, it's really important to take your notebook out, because this is how you do this exercise. You've got your, somewhere I've got my notebook buried under all sorts of stuff. This is one of my notebooks. This is the official AYP notebook. And you open it up and work this out, like who you are as a photographer. You want to apply the power of visualization to yourself. Everything starts with your vision. Everything. You wake up in the morning, what am I going to do with my day? You should visualize that. You should actually, and I do that. I visualize it, I put it on a piece of paper. These are the things I know I'm going to get done today. That's my vision for the day. I have boards where I visualize, longer term programs and where I'm going. But put your vision out there. What genre do you want to be known for, or do you feel you excel at? You might be involved with a number of different genres, but which one is the one that resonates for you the most, that you want to be known for? You want to clearly establish that for yourself. Sometimes it's hard to get that feedback from, feedback from yourself doesn't really work because you're so closely involved. So sometimes it's good to talk to somebody you really trust. In fact, a friend of mine just did that. He sent me 50 photographs and said, I'd like your feedback, Mark. Like, which do you feel stands out and really looks like my brand? And so I'm doing that. But you should have a trusted person, somebody that you feel like they give you some advice that it's going to make sense and they're not going to chop you up. Because you're not looking for criticism. You're looking for, what do you see when you look at these and what stands out the most? You look at other great artists and you'll see that they're primarily known for a single genre. Doesn't mean they don't do other types of work, but they're known, their brand is really based around one genre. And let's look at some examples here. Henri Cartier-Bresson, you think of him, you don't think of landscapes, although he does have photographs of landscapes. You think of street and candid photography. He also became a very skilled pen and ink artist. That actually is where he transitioned from photography to that. If you think about it, black and white photography can transition really well to a pen and ink. Annie Leibovitz, she does get into other genres. I know that she had put in her books some landscapes, but she's primarily known for her celebrity portraiture. That's what you think of, your instant thought. Annie Leibovitz is a celebrity photographer. Bob Holmes, travel photography. He also shoots many other genres. He shoots portraiture and he shoots vineyards. But even the vineyards really kind of came out of his travel photography and his portraiture as well. But that's what he's known for. He's, multi-award winning travel photographer. Johann Vermeer, paintings of everyday life. And obviously his lighting has become a brand unto itself. The north-facing light, beautiful lighting on a person's face. That's part of his brand. But really, it was that he created these everyday images that we could see, very much like a photograph. So this is important to think about this and to work it out. It's not the easiest exercise in the world, I've got to tell you. because you're asking yourself, what do I represent to the world? When you look at my work, what do you see? And again, this is why it's good to have some feedback from other people. You guys can also and should use our AYP Club as a place to do this exercise. You can post as many of your photographs as you'd like and say to the community, when you look at these, in fact, Jared, let's create a project for this. When you look at these, tell me what you see. You know, which ones jump out for you? Let's say you have 3 or 4 different genres, sports, let's say, portraiture, landscapes. You might put an example of one of each of these and say, which one of these resonates for you the most? And go down that path. That's the great thing about the AYP Club community. It's your laboratory. You can put your work there and get really good feedback from trusted people. So I'd like you guys to take advantage of that. And maybe, Jared, you can also just, for those who aren't members, put a link in the description here or the comments. But that's one of the purposes that I formed the AYP Club for, was so you would have this opportunity to share in a safe space your work and get feedback from fellow artists. Super important. So I'm gonna throw that out there as a must do. That's as far actually as I want to go today. I'd like to just elaborate a little bit more how important it is to take this step and take a look at yourself as an artist, the kind of work that you do, what really resonates for you, what will resonate for other people too. Because the thing about being an artist is it's not just for you. It's not just for your own personal self-satisfaction. It's getting it out to the world is the most satisfying feeling. I, for many years, had boxes of negatives because I had gone away from photography, but I still had my boxes of negatives and prints, and they sat there gathering dust. And what actually happened was interesting. And I believe it was about 2003 or 4, one of my sons Marc Silber, scanned a bunch of my prints. I was not in the digital age, you guys, as far as photography was concerned. I was using computers, but I hadn't even touched Photoshop. But he scanned them and he put them together as a kind of a montage. And I looked at it and I went, wow. Kind of cool to have somebody else do this. And that actually woke me up to the idea that maybe I should get back into photography. It was a moment. And he picked out his own prints that he saw and put them in a scanner, put them together in a montage, and actually is what jump-started my career as a pro photographer again. So having somebody who can help you do that is super valuable. So I want you guys to do this exercise. I want you to sit down and look at yourself as a photographer, decide what your brand is, test it, put it out on AYP Club, get some feedback, and really try to narrow this down. That's part 1. So we'll be taking up part 2 soon. But in the meantime, I'd like you guys to do that exercise. Give us your feedback, leave your comments. Please do subscribe, enable the bell, share. I wouldn't be adverse to you. Wouldn't be a bad idea, would it? To send this along to people that you know that need this same exercise. And last but not least, remember to capture your own images of life. Take care. See you guys soon.